that we're working on, but over the course of the last month, we've been talking to Pennsylvanians, some with serious conditions, some who are seniors who are struggling to make a vaccine appointment. And I know you and I have talked about this, but the problem hasn't subsided. They still can't find appointments. They're still struggling. And it seems like some of the moves that have been made recently have actually made it harder on some people. And it might just be in the interim, but right now it's really difficult for them to get an appointment. I know there's the Your Turn tool, and I know there's a hotline, but that just kind of directs resources to other places where they're still running into dead ends, whether they be seniors or folks with Parkinson's disease and cancer. What is the state doing to help those individuals, to help those Pennsylvanians?
Well, we're trying to put the resources in place so that people can get to vaccine appointments. But Ryan, it's the same problem that every state is facing across the country. There is not yet enough vaccine available for everybody who wants to get it. In Pennsylvania, we have right now over 4 million people who are eligible to receive the vaccine, but we've only gotten about 2.5 million doses so far. So it's difficult to get that vaccine out to everybody who wants it now because there's not enough supply. We know that there's going to be more coming. We know the federal government is working on that, and there is another vaccine that is undergoing the approval process. That could help. And we know in the future there will be enough vaccine for everybody. But right now, there is not enough vaccine for everybody who wants to receive it.
Right. And I understand the supply issue, and I think a lot of people do. But I think maybe the disconnect right now is to say there's not supply, but then we're putting people through these stressful situations where I had a woman with Parkinson's who had limited mobility in her left side, trying to sit on a computer for 2 hours a day for 2 weeks straight, trying to make an appointment, and she can't do it. And she feels like the state has left her behind because the group 1A was opened up to these folks who qualify. And for her, this is, in her opinion, the only way that she can move on with her life where she feels safe enough to go out of her house. Will more be done to help these people secure appointments or at least peace of mind? I mean, she can't even get on a waiting list.
Well, that's the thing. She could use the Your Turn tool, and part of that is to act as a waiting list, to let people know where they fit in the vaccine phases, when they will be eligible, and then the state, we will be in contact with them to let them know when they're eligible. Whenever there is enough vaccine available, and there are community vaccination sites, we can alert people in a certain region by zip code who put their information into the Your Turn tool. We'll be able to alert them to say, there is a community vaccination site within your area. It's going to be opening on this date. So we'll be able to alert them we're trying to bring some peace of mind to those people because we understand that it's difficult right now to get an appointment. And we want to let people know that they don't need to sit on the computer or on the phone all day long. If they put the information into the Your Turn tool, we will be back in touch with them. So we're hoping that will ease some people's mind to know that we will reach out to them as soon as it is their turn and as soon as there is vaccination appointments available in their area.
Right. I mean, but right now there is a problem too, where sometimes I hear these stories of people getting lucky or getting on at 8:30, 5:30 in the morning and getting on Rite Aid's website, and they find an appointment, whether it be in York County or they've got to drive 50 minutes, or some people are willing to go up to Williamsport. So they just feel like, you've got to risk it to get the biscuit. They've got to put in the effort in order to find this if this is a priority for them. And right now, for many of them, this is the number one priority. So they don't want to wait, and a lot of them feel like they can't wait because they're just concerned that, like, even a trip to the grocery store might be the last thing that the last mistake. It could be a mistake.
Well, and that's why we want to continue to emphasize that people need to continue the mitigation efforts. They need to wear a mask, wash hands, social distance, and be cautious and careful when you go out. That is something we're going to need to continue to do for months. Whether you have the vaccine, whether you get the vaccine today or tomorrow or in 3 months, that's what people will need to continue to do. And we understand everybody wants to get the vaccine now. And nobody wants to wait until June or May or April or even next week. They want to get it now, and they hear stories of people getting it. Because across the state, tens of thousands of Pennsylvanians are receiving the vaccine every single day. There is vaccine available. and people are getting that vaccine. It's a matter of supply not keeping up with the demand. And we know that that will catch up. The supply will catch up to the demand.
Are you saying that the Your Turn tool can act as a centralized hub? Because that's the number one thing that people want. They just want to be able to input their information on a centralized website run by the state where the state can reach out and say, go here, today's your day. I mean, because it's not that, but you kind of made it sound like it is.
No, the Your Turn tool will not schedule an appointment, but it can alert people when it is their turn, whenever their phase that they qualify for eligibility to get a vaccine. We can alert them when that happens. And whenever there are events, because whenever more vaccine is available, there will be community vaccination events. So when that happens, if they put their information into the Your Turn tool, we can alert them when those things are happening.
But then they still have to do the legwork of scheduling it themselves, correct?
Right. They will still have to do the scheduling themselves at this point.
And they're probably still going to run into roadblocks right now because appointments are full. When the hotlines were set up, was there any thought given to the fact that, hey, you know, with these appointments, there's a good chance that these people aren't going to be able to get in?
Well, because the supply is not there for demand. When you have 4 million people trying to get a vaccine and we're getting 100, at that time we were getting 125,000 doses a week. It's easy to do the math that not everybody is going to be able to get an appointment right away. And from the very beginning of the pandemic, whenever vaccines became available, it was clear that it was going to take months to get the vaccine out to everybody. And we understand people want to get the vaccine now, and we are doing everything we can to get as much vaccine from the federal government and to get it into Pennsylvanians' arms.
I want to ask about Friday. You had the rollout of trying to speed up the process, which in theory could alleviate some of these appointment issues. Family doctors reached out to us and said that they were concerned about that. And then kind of part and parcel, something that I'm trying to figure out was, obviously DOH knew about the dose 1, dose 2 issue. At some point, I would say in the last week, I don't know if you can kind of highlight that, but did that also play a role in, you know, kind of narrowing that group of administrators to say, hey, let's keep it to a smaller group because we're having issues now that we're identifying with dose 1 and dose 2. Did you know that on Friday when that decision was made on how to speed up the process?
No, that problem actually, we became aware of that problem over the weekend. And that's why we did the news conference today to let people know as soon as we could of what the circumstances are and then how we're fixing that problem. So it's completely separate from the order that was issued on Friday.